Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with Inside the U. This is my instant reaction to Miami's 47-10 win over Duke. It's the last game of the regular season. Miami finishes 7-5 overall, 5-3 in the conference. Now they wait to see their fate with the bowl game. I had a VIP report on where I think they will go on the website earlier this week. But with this game, there's a lot I want to get into, not just with this game, but also for the future of the Hurricanes with head coach Manny Diaz, offensive coordinator Rhett Lashley, as well as the players as they prepare for the bowl game and into next season in terms of their futures. So with this one, I did think it was good that Miami, comes away with this blowout win. Duke had really been struggling. They dropped to 3-9. They did not win an ACC game this year. And I know many of you that were watching saw Duke get out in front 10-3 with that kickoff return for a touchdown. Very disappointing, and certainly something that needs to be cleaned up, if not for the bowl game, but certainly for next season, as Miami allowed 2 returns for touchdowns on the season. That simply cannot happen, but it did in this one, but it did not deter them from the victory. Miami bounced back on the ensuing possession, ties the game at 10, and then goes ahead and gets ahead, 30-10 at halftime, and kind of rolls from there in the second half. Obviously, the big talk in today's game was the records that were broken. And just to recap, so Mike Harley, he had 13 catches, was actually, a lot of people didn't know, but that's a single game record at Miami. 3 guys had it at 12, including teammate Charleston Rambo and Philip Dorsett and Willie Smith. So Harley gets 13 catches for 96 yards and is now the career reception leader at Miami with 182. Reggie Wayne had that record about 20 years ago. Reggie Wayne did play one less year than Mike, so that's definitely something to be mentioned. But obviously, that's great for Mike, considering where he came from. He talked to us last year, talked to the reporters about there was a time where he thought about giving up, and he definitely noted that other guys he either came in with, or who came in after him decided to leave the program at the wide receiver position. But Mike stuck it out. A little slow start to his career, but he stuck it out, and he had that breakout campaign last year, where he had almost 800 yards receiving, had a really good year. And then, followed up with a productive season this year, although he was not the number one guy. But I definitely think, Mike should be commended for sticking with it, for his hard work, and for him being able to accomplish this record. I remember watching Mike at his last high school game there at St. Thomas Aquinas in the state championship game. He had a monster game there. I remember talking to him outside the locker room there, and just to kind of see his career 5 years later, it's really impressive. And I know many fans are excited to see what Mike does maybe moving forward as he kind of battles for a spot in the NFL. The other one, with Mike's 2 records, and then Charleston Rambo, wide receiver who needed kind of a productive day, but he's been so productive this year. So he had 8 catches, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns, and now Charleston, in his only year at Miami, has a single season record for 79 catches. He breaks Leonard Hankerson's record and now has 1,172 receiving yards, which breaks Alan Hearns' old record. So good to see from Charleston. And I think what you guys saw from Charleston is what you had hoped a wide receiver would be in Miami's offense. Just that ability to go downfield and make big plays. He did that today in the Duke game, as well as some underneath stuff. And I think that's what's been impressive with Charleston, that he's been able to kind of get receptions at different levels, and that's what you're looking forward to. And I think what's great about both of these guys is they've been able to establish themselves as leaders of the group, either vocal leaders or quiet leaders, or at least guys that show you what it takes to be productive at this level. And Miami's got a bunch of young receivers that they know what it takes, and they're going to be eyeing these records now moving forward, whether it's a slot guy like a Xavier Restrepo, or even a Brashard Smith who might be looking at Mike Harley's production and say they want to try to do that. Or maybe the outside guys like a Keyshawn Smith, who did start games this year, or a guy like Romello Brunson, or these other guys that are coming up that are going to look at Rambo as saying, hey, if he can do it, I saw what it takes during practices and games. They're going to be looking at trying to break his records. And I think that's great because, one thing also with those guys kind of moving on, Charleston Rambo, I think many of you guys saw his interview this week, definitely expected that this will be his only season, although he could come back. And then we'll see if he participates in the bowl game. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play in that one. But Tyler Van Dyke was asked after the game if he plans on being back next year because, as you guys probably know, or if you haven't heard, Rhett Lashley's planning on moving forward from the offensive coordinator position at Miami to being the head coach at SMU. So the question was presented to him if Tyler plans on being back at Miami. Obviously, a lot can still happen, and the word isn't set in stone or anything like that. But I know a lot of people are curious if Tyler's going to be back. A lot of changes either with Rhett leaving. Certainly, Tyler could move to SMU if he wanted to follow his coordinator, or if Manny Diaz leaves as head coach. Maybe Tyler decides to move forward, and whoever the next head coach is, maybe it's not going to be the fit for Tyler. So, but just keep in mind, Tyler was not recruited by Rhett Lashley, and he stuck by Miami and made it work. It wasn't the system, but I remember him talking about him just being excited to kind of play under Rhett and kind of learn under Coach Lashley and kind of see how it goes. So, but Tyler said, of course, he'll be back. So I thought that was a good note after the game, just to kind of keep in mind. And so that's kind of the basic notes that comes from today's game. Obviously, the offense put up a bunch of points. A little disappointing at times. They weren't able to score inside the red zone. Certainly, it's something to work on. Running game was okay. Jalen Knight only 51 yards on 13 carries. Nothing special there. I think he's obviously trailing off after that big game a few weeks ago when he had 162 yards. So hopefully maybe, Jalen needs this little break before the bowl game, and hopefully he can kind of finish strong with the big performance in the bowl game. Another thing, like I said, offense, a lot of attention on this one with the records. Tyler Van Dyke also should be noted. Another 300-yard passing game, 381 yards, 6th straight game with 300 yards. So he's going to have a lot of offseason attention on him. I think it's going to be exciting kind of to see where he grows from here. Obviously, there were some things to work on, but obviously a lot of positives as well. It just continued on the momentum. And if he could kind of win that bowl game, help win the bowl game for Miami, I think that would be big. For Miami to finish 8-5, considering where they started, certainly a disappointment no matter what, but you're looking at kind of changing your goals because of the tough start, the rough start that they had to the year. So just winning that bowl game hasn't happened to Miami in a while. 2016 was the last one. Miami's lost 10 of their last 11 bowl games. So at this point, you just need to win that game. So, okay, sliding on to the defense. I thought the defense did well. They give up a field goal on the opening drive, but then for the most part, I thought they did a good job of shutting Duke down. Duke only had 219 yards of offense. I thought it was good. Duke could struggle all year, but that doesn't mean that they couldn't have one of these games where they kind of go away from what they've been doing. And Miami's defense did a good job of making them uncomfortable in defending the pass. Shout out to Marcus Clark for the interception. Good to see a young player get an interception there inside the end zone there. So that was good. DJ Ivey came down with a play. Obviously, it didn't count because of the penalty, but still good that, he's making plays and, a few sacks here and there by the defense. But overall, I just thought they did a good job of kind of containing Duke in the running game and not allowing anything big in the passing game. So pretty good job by the defense, 10 points, but they give up the kick return, so only 3 points by the defense. And like I said, 219 yards of total offense for Duke. So a lot of positives in this game. Like I said, Duke has really struggled, but it's just good that Miami has some separation with these teams because they've played so many close games this year. And you want to have separation as a team that, for Miami that's expected to be better. I know that they've expected to be better and have better results. So when you have kind of lopsided games like this going into it, you're hoping that you kind of show the separation of why you can be a good team, why you've got good players, and kind of show that you're not at the level as your opponent that's really struggled. So overall, good day in total. Now moving forward, everyone's going to now be waiting, how soon will this announcement be made with the director of athletics? Things can certainly happen as soon as tomorrow. However, it wouldn't surprise me if it takes a few days. Same way with the head coaching decision. I think the director of athletics move will be made first. And then I do expect a decision to be made at head coach with Manny Diaz. I said in my article kind of my thoughts about Coach Diaz. You've heard me talk a little bit on the videos as well, but definitely check out the VIP content that I've been putting out there and other people have been putting out on Inside the U. We just had a Black Friday deal, 75% off. So definitely check that out. Not just for the content that we've been posting already, but there's a lot more to come. The one thing about, decisions, whether it's head coaches or or specifically about a head coach, if there is a move to be made there, you want to stay on top of everything because it's not just about the head coach. You're talking about a lot of decisions that can be made with the assistant coaches. There's a lot of names to be talked about once the head coach is in place, or if Manny Diaz does stay on. I touched on Rhett Lashley as he moves forward. Do coaches kind of move on with him? Does Miami have to get a bunch of new offensive coaches, even if Coach Diaz stays on? So a lot to talk about, VIP content there. And then recruiting. Manny Diaz said, he talked after the game that, he's going to be on the road starting tomorrow with some in-home visits, some visits there. So definitely stay tuned on recruiting. And, signing day, early signing day period is coming up within the next few weeks in late December. So we'll have plenty of stuff on there. So there, Miami does not have a lot of commits right now, but I expect that to change. I think they're going to try to get some names involved. The names that of local guys still uncommitted. Miami's still trying their best to get a Shamar Stewart and Nigel Lee Kelly. Those are just two names. They'd like to have the American Heritage guys as well as Earl Little Jr., Marvin Jones Jr. Those guys, they would still like to have those guys on board. So we'll see if Miami can make any inroads there. It's going to be different in the fact that, Manny Diaz has not received confirmation. He said after the game that he's not received confirmation that he will be back. So recruiting at this point is very difficult when the head coach doesn't know if he's going to be back or not. So we'll just kind of have to see if there's going to be any news, but we'll just, like I said, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Other things kind of moving forward with the football team is the players. There's a lot of guys that are approaching the end of their careers. We touched on quite a bit last week with the final home game, but now players will have to decide if they're going to play in the bowl game. Miami does not have that guy where he's automatically a top NFL draft pick to make it seem automatic that he's going to sit out. However, the way that Charleston Rambo spoke about possibly not playing in the bowl game, it doesn't sound like he's going to, but certainly depending on his grade and kind of maybe he'll rethink some things. However, because he has those records, I would be surprised if he played in the bowl game. Miami has plenty of receivers, young guys that they'd like to kind of move forward with anyways. So once again, I'd be surprised if Rambo plays in the bowl game. I'd be surprised if he returns to Miami. So there's some other guys that to pay attention to as well. Whether it's upperclassmen like a Mike Harley or even a DeAndre Johnson, who was non-committal the last time he spoke about it. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. Bowl practices will not start for a while. Miami will have a week off. I wouldn't expect an announcement on a bowl game to come until after the ACC championship game, the day after, which would be December 5th. So stay locked in there. But as I mentioned, I put out some information on where I think Miami's going to the bowl game based on some sources. I will continue to update that as I hear things, and we'll kind of see how things go. There's a lot of news that will be popping up, but I wanted to get through this game. I want to thank everybody for watching these instant reaction videos after the games. Definitely drop in the comments. Let me know what you think. Maybe I didn't touch a lot on the game. Maybe there are some things that you noted. Maybe there's some things that you saw in this one. Maybe some young players like a Thad Franklin who kind of showed you a little bit. And maybe there's going to be some momentum for the bowl game. There'll be plenty to talk about with that as Miami gets into practices. And again, the bowl opponent, once that's known, we'll definitely have a lot more to talk about there. But stay tuned is the biggest thing I can say. Stay tuned to the website. I'll have some more reaction things on the video. I do not want to go away from these videos because you guys have shown so much support throughout the season, throughout this past year. So definitely appreciate everyone. We're getting really close to 14,000 subscribers. So I want to thank everybody in advance for that. Just need a few more and we'll get there. So thank you, everybody. Hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving and enjoy the holiday season. I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks again for watching. Take care.